We've come to the halfway point of the season, and with that, Blake Reynolds still leads in the pro classification. He's got a 59-point lead over Ray Kingsbury, and not far off of him. So he's got about a 59-point lead. Yeah. Down in the AM class, though, Brandon Lambert's got a 44-point lead over Taylor Carroll, and I do not see Carroll here tonight to try to close that gap. It's then 78 points back for Lambert to the third spot of Kevin Fanning. Fanning is here, and so that's going to make things interesting for that battle, but it all just depends on driver performance, because right now Blake Reynolds sits at the top of the qualifying chart, and we're back to our normal format this week. I'm CubeCast. Here with me in the booth is Matt Kingsbury. And Matt, after the endurance last week, it's going to be interesting getting back to the sprint with the feature format this week.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to see, the cautions and all that work out. I actually would love to see those implemented even into one of these shorter races. I think it would add a lot of strategy to it, although it would be, a little hectic. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the shorter race. I think a track like this, very, very narrow track, very much smaller track than Spa, should be a fun little battle here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those that, it'd be interesting to see a caution in these races, but with only a 45-minute feature race, I mean, a caution will take up maybe, 5+ minutes of that. So all just depends on how that works out if they end up going to it. We're looking at Peter Houston here in the pits. Let's see, Josh Clogg's in the pits as well. Who is on track at the moment? Looks like just about everybody here is a look. This is Brian Smith in the 54 car. Currently at the bottom of the qualifying standings of drivers that have turned a time. Currently not too far, though, off his teammate Daniel Saponsky. So both of them yet to, they're going to have some work to do once we get to the races. Josh Mertz out on track as well. Another different livery, not running his typical Cintas livery that he typically does. So he's out there in the Mercedes. I think he made a car change. Is that right? He used to be in something else. You can confirm probably there, Matt?
Yeah, he was driving the McLaren last round. We saw him, and I've had past experience in the McLaren. It's definitely an interesting car. It looks good, but it's not the most fun to drive. It can be a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, so this is Mertz out there. He's yet to set a time here in qualifying. Not sure. He only has 3 laps with the way the session's set up. I think this is his final shot at getting a time, and only a couple drivers left out on track as well. Looks like Brian Smith pulled it into his box. This is Keith Jeffrey, teammate of your championship leader, the overall leader in the 66 of Blake Reynolds. Keith Jeffrey in the 888 Mercedes. He's currently sitting in the 14th position. You'll see that 000 there on your timing and scoring pile. That's me. Apparently I joined the session as a driver and not as a spotter. So just ignore that one the entire time. But everybody else on there is the drivers you should pay attention to. If we had just like 3 more drivers, you wouldn't even have to see my name show up there and for me to embarrass myself finishing last.
All right, Josh Mertz set his time there. He's got one more left, but it puts him right now P13 with a 138.512.
Hey, he's not last. Way to go, Mertz.
Yeah, should spin out less too with the Mercedes. It's a lot more front heavy, so. And, the rear end tires apparently don't stick out wider than the front. At least that's what it feels like when you drive a McLaren.
Now,
so,
I know that he runs this league. Do we need to issue him a warning for not running the decal package this round?
Yeah, I do think we should, issue a Tier 1 reprimand. We'll have to get Kieran Forrest on that, because Josh makes a big deal out of that. But little slice of his own medicine. All right, he's going to bail there. That should do it for qualifying. I think everyone's set the time, so in the next few seconds here, we'll finish on up and head on into the sprint race.
That's the end of qualifying here for... I make up these names as we go for the races. I don't really know what to call them. This time we are here for the Hockenheim Hellfest because I don't know much about this track. I just know it's hell to drive on. So Blake Reynolds is going to start on the pole position with Sarah Rabb on the outside of row number 1. Ray Kingsbury, Kevin Fanning. So 2 teammates there, second and third. Then Kevin Fanning in the 4th spot. Brandon Lambert, another LLM car, starts in 5th. Then Peter Houston. Josh Claw, Cody Crosgrove on row 4. And Jack Belton makes his season debut in the 17 car, starting on the outside of on the inside of row number 5. Then they got Marwan Mafta, Brian Son of the Penguin RC Audi, and then you've got William Dunbar there outside of row number 6. Then you got Josh Mertz, Seth Rawls, Keith Jeffrey, Daniel Saponsky, and Brian Smith wrapping up the field. Just ignore me showing up on there. We can kind of just ignore that the rest of the night.
Well, Chad, our usual suspects at the top here, but I think Blake and Sarah have a pretty distinct pace advantage on Ray. Not sure if he's faster than he should in qualifying, which is a little conservative. But you got Kevin Fanning, and he's not very far behind Ray Kingsbury, so we could have a really good fight here for the top 3 spots.
There's a look at our grid forming up for what should be an exciting race. And yeah, it's going to be fun to watch Sarah during this outing because she has had some struggles this season. She's been able to get through traffic than either. We've seen her wheel disconnect. We've seen just a self-spin, her having some issues get through lap traffic. So if she can get through a race cleanly, it's going to be interesting what she can do battling with Blake Reynolds for the entire time.
Yeah, and good to see some, we got 17 drivers here, and that's pretty average for our field size this week, but it's almost all the same drivers every week, which is awesome to see. And we're really getting to start to know these names here. Of course, Peter Houston, we got to highlight his car change yet again, this time going over to the Lamborghini.
Yeah, so he switches up to the Lambo. It's a Supreme Lambo. It says it on the rear end of it. We'll see if we can't switch to the chase cam here. Yep, it's a Supreme car. He's running the Supreme machine, so he's out there another week, another car for him. I think that he said he's working on just trying to settle into something for next season. You get 1 free change. Every change after that resets your points, so he has used that several times. He's not racing for points this season, he has said. He is just out there for the fun of it and trying to feel out the cars. You'll see this car up front. That's Penguin RC, but that's not Brian Son. That's Sarah Rabb. You can tell them apart. Between the white versus the sky blue for Brian Son, that car further in the background there. But they get set to go and launch off the line. Duckyard line early. There is Jack Bell in that Sprite Sandwich City FC car, but he tucks it back into line, and they're all single file through turn number 1.
Yeah, you got Ray Kingsbury gets the jump on Sarah Rabb, and he's already looking down on Blake Reynolds. Contacts late from Kingsbury and Rabb there as they make going to the hairpin.
I don't think that bump drafting going into a corner on a road course is typically advisable there.
So far, so good, as we have single file action throughout the field, but a little bit of double file there with Jack Belton, Brian Son, Josh Mertz.
Looks like we got one driver that is blinking a little bit. That's Brian Son, but seems to be back for the time being. Yeah, that's a big gaggle of cars actually. Oh, I think that was Marwan Mafta maybe. That was Marwan and the 3 wide almost into the corner there. Contact for Jack Belton. He goes to the inside wall. And that was a hard impact for Jack. We'll see.
Something happened to Jack there, I believe, because it looked like he slowed down and Marwan tried to dodge him, and that's why he got into the side of Brian Son. So not sure if there's some technical issues there.
Well, it looks like, yeah, Jack ran wide, barely got into the side of Josh Mertz, and then from there ended up just spinning into the wall. I think he just overcorrected trying to stay out of the way of the rest of the drivers in the field. So Blake Reynolds still in the lead for the time being. He's not too far, though, in front of Ray Kingsbury and then Sarah Rabb right there as well. The top 3. Oh, and Kingsbury just swerving to the inside several times, trying to make Blake think just a little bit as we get set here for more of this sprint race. Just getting things started here. But Reynolds, for the time being, going to continue to hold the lead. I think that we've gotten things settled out for the most part. We'll jump back here to Peter Houston, trying to chase down Brandon Lambert. That's going to be for the 5th position.
Yeah, and in the background, we just saw Brian Song get around Cody Crossgrove as he ran really wide onto the grass.
And there's actually
down the backstretch.
Houston trying to get around Fanning is what it is, and Clog right behind him. Clog actually, he's running the AM class decals. I believe he should be a pro class driver based on his I rating. But with all that being said, it looks like Clog trying to make a move now on Houston as Houston has to go defensive. We just saw the move there, side by side up front for the lead. That's Kingsbury on the right. But Reynolds defends, and these two were teammates here in MTech last time they drove the GT3s around this track, and Sarah Rab trying to get her nose into the fight as well. So right now, Reynolds, Kingsbury, Rab 1, 2, and 3, but they're not giving each other an inch of space out there.
Yeah, and all 3 of these drivers won their round at MTech, I believe. I think I know Ray and Blake did. I think they were running P2, and then all of a sudden, I believe Eric Mickett had a off track and handed him the win. I believe it was that race, and I believe also Sarah got the win there too.
And these 3, even though they're battling so hard, have still found a way to build about a second and a half back to Brandon Lambert, who is all on his lonesome stuff. It looks like something has happened, though, to Josh Clog, as he is now losing a ton of time. We'll go back here, see if we can't find... Oh, he did go around, so we'll take a look here at the replay. It's going to be... Oh, he just got over those rumble strips a little too hard, and the back end snapped out on him, but he is back underway for the time being. So Josh Clog back out there, and we'll go back up to the front for now.
Yeah, I know Josh sitting pretty much dead last in the race. We do have some battles on our hands here as we see, obviously, the top 3 at the front here. Very close. Ray Kingsbury running really wide, and it looks like he's going to let Sarah Rabb go there.
Yes, he's still going to be Reynolds, Rabb, Kingsbury, your top 3. This is Josh Mertz trying to find a way to get by Cody Crossgrove. He actually gave up a little bit of time there. A little further back there, that's Mofta defending from Brian Son. Brian, they made an announcement earlier today for that team with the fact that Brian Son and Penguin RC have actually formed their own team with it's going to be Blake Reynolds, Sarah Rabb, and Ray Kingsbury, that 4-car stable, with Brian being the 4th. So they're going to be running both in NASA as well as in some other series. I think that's going to be Blake and Sarah teaming up in the GT4s in the MTech Sprint Series. It's going to be fun to watch that one for sure, because those drivers have just shown speed everywhere we've gone this season.
Yeah, they have, and I think it's almost an unfair combo to have Blake and Sarah in the same car. So I'm certainly not looking forward to going up against those 2 in the same car. I think that's going to be tricky.
You got the chrome horn. You'll just give him a little bit of that, and just say that's what you get for running outside of NASCAR, Blake.
You got to get to him first.
Looks like actually a little further back. We'll jump back to the very back of the pack. This is Smith, Dunbar, and Clog. 14th, 15th, 16th. Or sorry, 13th, 14th, 15th. There. These are just about the last couple of cars. Josh Clog is right behind them, but Saponsky, Smith, and Dunbar, you see them all here running nose to tail. And you see, of course, Saponsky and Smith with the 2 team liveries there, with Dunbar in the fray as well. Dunbar having an interesting outing so far. But the other driver on his team, the other Shift Esports driver, is Seth Rawls. And Rawls not as far up as we're used to seeing him in the 125. I'd typically expect him to be at least near the top 10.
Yeah, he's usually a little quicker than this. I'm not sure if it's a bad qualifying effort or if he just, it's his favorite track. I was pleasantly surprised by Williams' qualifying performance. P12. He slipped back a little now, but we'll see if he can, get it together and move forward in the race.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where off tracks and slow down penalties will really hamper your efforts. Because it's not an easy way really to clear them while still going fast. So yeah, I think he had one or two of those just from running maybe a little outside the boundaries and had to give up some time. But Sarah Rab right there, side by side, jump back to the front. Sarah to the inside, and that's through the hairpin. They're still side by side.
Yeah, fantastic battle there. And also something to note: Ray Kingsbury is
Oh,
he's
and
destroyed.
he's got a ton of damage. We'll see if we can't figure out what happened to him. So he's already. Oh wow, that was. Is that off the final corner? Here's a look at it.
Center a little too hard, bud.
Clip that curving. Oh, got onto the gravel. Snap over. Try to correct it, and then bam.
Yeah, this is what happens when you just don't lift out of it, and you think you got it, and you don't actually got it.
There's Josh Mertz there to get into the gravel as well. And it looks like Lambert's had an incident. He's missing his nose as well.
Man, these LLM cars look great without hoods, so I will say that.
He's not getting the best aerodynamics, but Josh Mertz right behind them. He's already up into the 7th spot. I think he qualified, back in 13th, I think it was? And he's up to 7th for now. He's trying to find a way past Ray Kingsbury.
Yeah, the Mercedes treating him pretty well so far. I went back and reviewed. Lambert was in P3 and didn't really do too much wrong, but there is one little curb on this track. It's on a high-speed section. It's a little bit of a sausage curb. So if you put your tire on it just wrong and it gets on the crest of it, it'll slip, slide, and you'll hit a wall head-on. That's what happened to Brandon Lambert.
Lambert down into the pits as well, so it looks like his sprint race is done. The unfortunate thing for him is that he's only one position away out of inverting to the top of the field. William Dunbar looks to set that as his top 15 that get the invert, I think. Is that correct? And we'll go from there.
It is, so that's good news for, like Josh Clogg also. And I see Ray Kingsbury's kind of hanging in there. We're 12 minutes down in this race, or 10 minutes down in this race, nearly. So, maybe his engine can hang on.
Yeah, and that's one thing I didn't even think about is, he's got all that damage there from hitting the wall. It's like, okay, that's a bunch of aerodynamic damage. He's going to be slow, but instead you actually have to think about, is his engine intact? Is he going to be able to survive the next 5.5 minutes?
Yeah, I think fortunately for him, I could be wrong, but the Audi might be either rear-engined, so maybe it is okay and it's just a cooling issue. But you can see that in the back end of the Audi there is
a ton of bits. Yep, he dives it down to pit lane, so that's going to be his sprint race done and dusted. The thing is for him though, if I'm reading this right, he's going to circle into 15th spot, and he's going to be on the pole for the feature. He's going to be able to build a huge lead in that one.
Well, do you think possibly him and Lambert are serving meatball flags here, and maybe the first one out will, get that 15th spot?
I think the issue there is I don't know if they've changed the league rules. It used to be if you came down the pit lane during the sprint race, your day is done. Those rules might have changed over the last couple of seasons, but that's how it used to be anyway. As these two continue to sit on pit lane, we'll go back up to the front here. This is Rab still all over that rear wing of Blake Reynolds, and he's making that car wide for Sarah Rab to try to find a way around.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chad. And this battle at the front still continuing. And we got trouble at the back here with, I think it was William Dunbar, made contact with one of the plaid Porsches.
Yeah, Dunbar picked up 2 spots on the Porsches. Brian Smith shuffled back down to the 14th spot. So Dunbar then up into up to the 12th with that shifty sports machine. A lot of battles really have fizzled out for the time being. Kevin Fanning, though, still on the back of Peter Houston. That's for the 3rd spot. But that's about a half-second gap. Sarah Rab made a slight mistake. She's lost a couple of tenths. Now still just barely, just barely hanging on to about a second or so within Blake Reynolds' draft. So going to be interesting to watch her, see if she can't make up some ground. But we'll watch this battle for the time being. Actually, another battle that's really close is Keith Jeffrey right here. Keith Jeffrey in the 888 trying to find a way around Seth Rawls in the 125. And the other third car in the fray there is Josh Klog.
Yeah, Josh is on a move here. It looks like he's a little faster than these guys in front of him by about a second. So no surprise to see him trying to pick up the spots here, get a little extra points. I think we'll see him settle in somewhere in the top 10 here.
Only one car, I think, officially out of the race. Ray Kingsbury says that he is back on track. I don't know that that's legal, but he's not going to pick up any places by doing so.
My cursory glance at the rule book, oh, Josh almost lost it. My cursory glance at the rule book kind of showed that that rule might have been taken out for when we stopped doing the sprint races last season. So I think he's all set technically by the rules.
Yeah, that does kind of make sense, especially with some of the rule changes that we have had over the years, because we had to kind of revamp the rule book, having to do things like mandatory pit stops in the feature race and stuff like that. But right now, Josh Mertz, we're looking at him up into the 6th spot, 3 seconds or so up to Cody Crosgrove, and he's got some time out the back to Marwan Mafta as well. The car right behind him actually is Ray Kingsbury. That is a lapped car.
Yeah, up at the front, Sarah Rabb's still trying to hunt down Blake Reynolds as we come into what will probably be the white flag lap this time by. And she's getting awfully close. She's right on the tail of Blake Reynolds going into the hairpin down the far end of the track.
Yeah, and she's been there the entire time, not letting Blake mess around at all. Blake, yeah, she's just doing a great job of keeping him honest for the time being. Blake continues in that General Tires Mercedes, just continues to just hold the lead, and he's great at both driving out the mirror and driving out the windshield at the same time. I don't know how you can train your eyes to look in both places at once. He runs a little wide there, but Rab's able to, or he's able to keep Rab still at bay. Yeah, I don't know how you can kind of get your eyes to focus on 2 different spots at once, but he does a great job of it.
Yeah, I think in NASCAR you got to be very attuned to it. You got to be able to look up, down, just to see where the other car is going to go.
And this is the white flag lap here for everybody as Reynolds continues to lead. And it looks like Keith Jeffrey now has had an incident. We'll see what has happened to... Did he... he must have had a disconnection because he is now sitting in the pits. Something happened to him. As we try to get everything working back once again. Is my internet disconnected? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, chat. I'm not sure what happened with Keith there. He was racing, and he was running with Seth Rawls. So I'm not sure if something happened near them, but yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it and see what happened. Yeah, it looks like he had some slight contact, and from behind, and just unfortunately hit the wall, couldn't carry on. So no disconnection there, just really bad luck. Do want to note, William Dunbar made his way up to 10th due to that, so he's not inside top 10. So lots of changes going on in the back half of the field there.
Yeah, it looks like we're having some issues with our camera control system, as it just can't seem to locate drivers on the track for whatever reason. So we'll ignore that for now.
Coming to the finish line, Blake Reynolds still holds the lead. Sarah Rabb going to come in 2nd place. Battle for 3rd, sealed up. Peter Houston comes across the line to take that, with Kevin Fanning following in 4th.
And with that, we've got about a 10-minute warm-up. We are going to step away for a short break and try to get all of our systems back functional once again. So give us just a moment here on ASN TV, and be right back with you with some more racing action. set here for the sprint race at the Hockenheim ring. I'm CubeCast once again, still with me in the booth, as always, Matt Kingsbury. Matt, sounds like you're going to be having some fun on Monday night in the booth as well.
Yeah, gonna be commentating the RX race upcoming here. Gonna be sitting out for Wild West, so figured I let Josh have a chance at racing so I can make fun of him for crashing for once instead of me.
Now, tell me the real reason why you're in the booth.
Because I crashed too many times.
That's something I know all too well about. Getting set here, though, for the 45-minute sprint race. Expect to see one pit stop out of these drivers as we get set. We'll take a look here at our starting grid. Going to be very different than what we saw starting the sprint, as Ray Kingsbury, top of the grid there with Keith Jeffrey there. Ray's going to be able to probably just run away with this thing, and everybody else has to try to chase him down. But then Seth Rawls and Brian Smith, Saponsky and Dunbar row 3, then Clog and Son, followed by Mofta, Mertz, Crosgrove and Fanning there on row number 6. Move down to Houston, Rabb, Reynolds, Lambert, and Belton, the 17 car, starting 17th. Now,
yeah, I think if Ray doesn't win this one...
Where is he going? He's past the pace. That's a penalty. We got to penalize him. He passed the pace car. Get him out of here.
Yeah, not sure where he's going. But if he doesn't win this one, I'm not going to let him live it down because he's got quite the advantage on this race start.
Yeah, everybody else going to have to work their way through traffic. Meanwhile, Kingsbury, as long as he gets a solid jump on the restart, he's going to just be able to pull away, run away, and do whatever the heck he wants here. But he controls the start of this race as we get set for 45 minutes here from the Hockenheim ring, and Kingsbury is going to have an interesting one for him.
Yeah, and he's got some decently quick cars behind him, too, with Rawls and Jeffries, who were, not too bad. They were top 10 cars, so maybe they'll be able to get a little bit of a gap, too.
And Jeffrey, I think he underfueled, maybe. Oh, and there's a spin right off the start. That's Seth Rawls in the 125. He spun it right away, so that's one of the cars that you were just talking about. That's going to have a little less competition there for Ray Kingsbury up front.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
And something just happened to Kingsbury. He lost a ton of time there in turn 1. He lost the pole position. He lost the first spot. He lost the whole shot by considerable going into turn 1.
Yeah, he was trying to clear the penalty that a driver got from that spin by Seth Rawls, and he ran wide and got a slowdown penalty.
You know what? Good on him, though, for making that right for the other driver. That's heads up from the admin. I think that, it's good on him. Mertz, by the way, he's going to be... Oh, they're fanning out pretty wide there through that. That's a tight right-hander, and they fan out pretty good. This is Josh Mertz up in the 6th spot for now. We'll look a little further back here. Sarah Rabb up from 15th, already to 10, looking for 2 more spots, almost 3 wide there with the 88 of William Dunbar. She continues just to try to find a way by, already from 14th up to 9th.
Yeah, and at the front, Ray Kingsbury back to the lead, gets around Keith Jeffries there. So status quo reestablished.
Oh,
and
it's William Dunbar
off in the back.
These Shift Esports cars are not having a good go of it. There you see his teammate finally working his way by. That's Seth Rawls. Interesting also to see, you got 2 teammates here, but one's in the Bimmer, one's in the Lambo.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Williams having a good time here. I didn't really get a chance to sit down with him this week at all and help him this track, but this is a tough place to race.
Yeah, there's so many elevation changes that can really upset the handling of the race car. 1.2 seconds already the lead for Ray Kingsbury, and all of that's going to do as this race goes on probably is continue to build until the other drivers can get their way to the front. Sarah Rabb already up to the 8th spot.
Yeah, another one I'm watching right now is Josh Mertz. He's in 6th place. Looks like he can pick up a few more spots, so interesting to see if maybe he can get up to the podium.
Yeah, we're looking at Josh Clog here, the other Josh in the field. He's up into 4th, looking for 3rd down the inside. Thought about the crossover move there from Saponsky, just couldn't time his turn in correctly, and that's going to move Clog up into the 3rd spot. He's shown a lot of pace this season. He's got a 4,000 I rating. I don't know why he's running the AM plates, but Kingsbury, Jeffrey, Clog, your top three.
And Sarah Rabb already getting around Brian Son here. Looks like she's making really good.
Oh, and there's a huge shunt down in the back. That's Jack Belton once again.
Daniel Saponsky around also from P4 there.
Now watch
this. He's now out of this thing.
Let's look at this replay here. This is Mofta and Belton. It looks like Belton got too much of the curbing, and that just sent him all the way to the outside wall. That's unfortunate for Jack. Not the way that he wanted his day to go. Looks like he's actually back around. I don't know if did he hit the wall too hard?
No, it was pretty light contact considering. But we got a lot of battles here going on, Chad. It looks like Josh Mertz just got around for, I think he's now in 4th place. And we've got Sarah Rabb and
up into 5th already.
Yeah, she's up into 5th. She's already got Cody Crossgrove. It looks like he's going to follow her through. Brandon Lambert there also. Blake's now trying to get around Brandon as he goes down the backstretch here.
And the interesting thing that we have not seen yet this season, the separation in traffic. Sarah Rabb has had no issue from 14th already up to 5th. Meanwhile, Blake Reynolds, he's only been able to go from 15th to 9th, and he's continuing to struggle. He just let Brandon Lambert back by, and Kevin Fanning's got to run on him as well.
Yeah, that was a great move from Brandon. He just centered deep on the brakes and said, you know what, let's see how well she stops.
She stopped safely, and now Blake Reynolds go back to the inside once again. Lambert very wide there, but able
Jeffrey's
to keep the
off
car
in front
under
of the field. Just out of shot there. We saw the edge of his car.
Yep, there he is. So he's going to get it back around. I don't think he hit anything too hard. We'll go back up here, too. Now, this is now Blake Reynolds on the back of Cody Crossgrove.
Sarah Rabb already around Josh Mertz. I was going to say Josh Mertz promoted to, the podium, but it looks like our podium right now is Ray Kingsbury, Josh Clog, Sarah Rabb. That was a crazy lap right there.
Yeah,
Sarah was listed as 6th at the start of the race. Big wreck in the back.
Sarah Rabb. Oh, that's Brian Son and Cody Crossgrove, the two that went around there. So we'll go back and take a look at it. So it looks like Brian, I think, just lost it on his own.
Wow, and great driving by Blake Reynolds there. Doesn't make contact with Cody Crossgrove here. You'll see in a second. Gets her woed up and saves that car from any damage.
Now watch Brian Son. He wiggles in a place I don't think I've seen a car wiggle yet. Maybe he just got that curbing just wrong. Let's go to the chase cam of it. Because watch him. Oh, he clipped that curbing just wrong. The back end stepped out. He almost saved it, and unfortunately nowhere to go there for Cody Crossgrove to try to get back into it.
Yeah, Brian's car doesn't look too good. Blake Reynolds may have made a little contact, but he's dropped down behind Peter Houston now for 7th place he's in now.
Nose on 66 looks clean, but yeah, as you mentioned, he's right there. But
and
Peter
Josh Mertz is around.
Peter Houston, by the way, he is... Oh, gotta hold the brakes, buddy. Ooh, that was close. And he tries to merge right onto the brake line. Mertz, baby, come on.
Man. All right, and now
that was
a lot of stuff going on in this race.
So Reynolds did, by the way, get by Peter Houston as we look here. Marwan Mofta let Mertz back by. Mertz went from, I think he was up into 3rd at one point, now back to 11th in a matter of about 2 laps.
Yeah, Josh was sitting, I think, 4th place and was doing a very nice job. So sad to see his race, crumble like that, but he still got a pretty good result going so far.
Yep, top 3 still Kingsbury, Clog, Rabb. Kingsbury, surprisingly, only a 5.5 second lead there for himself over Sarah. And that's the surprising part about that is that Sarah had to work her way through so much traffic. Kingsbury, talking to him pre-race, he was still trying to figure out about half an hour before this race what his setup was going to be. Meanwhile, Sarah said, I know what I'm running, I know what I'm doing, and you can figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, I think the preparation difference is shown, right? Like, look at Sarah. She's got a 6-second or 7-second gap on Blake Reynolds. That's pretty nuts. And, you know, she had to go through the same traffic Blake did.
Yeah, that's one of those things in the invert that we always have to, that we're always seeing is every single race. It seems to be something that somebody can figure out better than somebody else. And I know Christian Challenger, back when he was running in this series, he loved it. He loved that invert. It always made things interesting, and I wish he was here to join the fray as well, because, man, with him in the show, it was always just so much fun watching him try to find a way through when so many other drivers are trying to compete and say, I held Christian off for a corner.
Yeah, I always made it notoriously, difficult for certain people to pass me. Not really Christian, because he was way faster than me, but, if Carlos Munoz or whatever heck his name was got up to me, I made sure I made his life living hell to get by me.
Munoz, isn't that an IndyCar driver?
Oh, sorry, Daniel Munoz.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
Yeah, I mixed up the two there. Same last name. Carlos was a pretty decent IndyCar driver. I thought
Lambert, by the way, find his way by Saponsky. But yeah, speaking of IndyCar, they're going to Barber this week, and they've sold out both Saturday and Sunday tickets.
Well, that's awesome to hear. That's a track that I love to race personally on the sim, and I hopefully will get to watch it. I'm supposed to be at soccer games, so who knows? But we got a battle up front here. Big send from Kevin Fanning and Brandon Lambert there to try to hang on.
They were 3 wide down that straightaway going into that corner. Lambert just didn't know where to go, and Saponsky just kind of stuck here with you guys, saying, "Hey, I'm here." Here, Lambert up the inside. Is he gonna hold it? Oh wow, that was tight. Still side by side. Wow, Lambert fighting around the outside. Very wide. I think he's going to probably get a slowdown from that one, as far wide as he was. But he goes back to the lead of this group of cars for the time being.
It'd be okay to not get a slowdown there. One of those ones where it has a pretty steep curve. That's actually where he crashed during the sprint race, was that corner there, the exit. So no slowdown there, but he's definitely taking advantage of that extra track to get the job done.
Meanwhile, up in front, it's still all Ray Kingsbury. Sarah Rabb closing in, but still about a second or so behind Josh Klog. Otherwise, throughout the field, we'll drop back here. This is Fanning still trying to find a way back by Saponsky. For the most part, things have kind of settled out. Brian Son, you see all that damage to his rear wing. I think that he might need to take some repairs when he makes his pit stop. We do have one mandatory stop with the fuel load in these cars. Probably just get a hammer to that wing and try to beat it back up into the air, because his back end's got to be sliding all over the place right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting shape for us to be looking at. You would think he'd be well flagged with that, but maybe it's different on his end. Who knows? But it looks pretty bad to us.
Blake Reynolds, by the way, 5.5 seconds back behind the podium. So he's got some work to do, as we're just waiting to see what happens there. This is Saponsky and Fanning. Fanning has gotten by, but he's not able to pull away by much yet. And this is a pretty surprising effort from Saponsky. No offense to you, Daniel, but your showings this season have not been so phenomenal. But right now you're competing up in the top 10 with some of the faster guys in the series.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job at this race. I noticed he was sticking around. It wasn't easy to pass this event. And I think he's showing some growth over the course of the season. He's been getting quicker and quicker and quicker in race trim, as the runs go on. So that's good to see. And, looking behind him, we got Josh Mertz here trying to recover. He's back up top 10. I think Josh has got to be saying, what could have been, and is probably trying to eyeball a top 5 finish if he can.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this one. The question then is going to be, we approach 1/3 distance here. Who blinks first to pit road? Does anybody try to go off strategy? Does anybody try to short fuel it? But for the time being, it's everybody going to stay out. We've seen, at least from Kingsbury, Rabb, and Reynolds, they basically just run it dry and then pray that they can make it back to the pits.
Yeah, I think if you're in the top 5 right now, you're going to run it dry. Brandon Lambert, it has clean track in front of him for the most part, so I think he runs it dry. Only person I could really see maybe, pitting are the likes of, Fanning, Mertz, Mafta, maybe Rawls, just to try to get, clean tracks on to get some damage repair.
Yeah, the question that you have for Brian at the moment is if you have damage repair, um, how much of it is mandatory? Because that always just ends up being the issue. Jack Belton, by the way, he did end up retiring from the race, so his day is done. Um, but Dunbar currently sits back in the 16th spot, so he is considerably behind anybody else. And I don't think he's got much damage to his car. It's just he had several spins consecutively that really unfortunately hampered his efforts in today's outing. And so he continues just to crank some laps. And you know what? For him, he's the lowest I rating driver in the field. And I think that for him, this is just as much of a learning experience as just having some fun with some friends on a Thursday night. Because that's the way that I want to learn. I don't want to feel the pressure of losing I rating. You don't want to put too much pressure on yourself. It's just get some laps logged and have fun out there with your friends, right?
Yeah, and I've worked with him, and he's got more speed than that. He's learning these tracks, he's learning these cars, he's learning the sim, and he doesn't have the experience on the sim like we do. Just transfer it to other tracks. I know that at Daytona he put in quite some hours and was able to beat like Cody Erdman, for example. Erdman's no slouch of a driver. He's I think he's like a 2K I rating or 1500 maybe. So that's not too bad when you compare it to Williams' I rating, right? So I think he's got potential to keep growing there and work his way up the field. I noticed that in single car runs he's doing significantly faster lap times than he is in the race. And like I said, just like you said, like I said, just experience. He's got to keep building that up.
Yeah, it's all about getting some seat time. And speaking of working with drivers on laps, if you're gonna work with me on Le Mans a little bit, I need to get ready for the 24 this year.
Are you going to install 4-wheel drive this year?
Maybe.
Yeah, you might need it for the off-roading you did last time.
Hey man, come on now. You saw what I had to go through to even to be eligible for the race. All right, so we got out there, we ran some laps, and we finished. We finished the race.
Yeah. Yeah, we mowed more lawns than anyone else that day, too.
Ah man, I was in the gravel more than I was in the grass. But yes, anyway, uh, it's always fun. Just to me, those events are more about having fun. That's why I think that we always need to have that third, just for fun, mess around car than anything else. But Kingsbury still, that lead actually is closed about a second or so as of late. To Sarah Rabb. It's up to about 4 seconds now for Kingsbury over Rabb. Last lap for Kingsbury, 137.7. Last lap for Rabb, 137.7. So just right step for step between the two.
Yeah, so far so good. Other battles on the track, right now, got on screen Josh Mertz, and I think it's Supansky. Also got Lambert and Fanning starting to heat up a little bit up in 7th and 8th place. Brian C. Smith, by the way, is in 6th place still. Something we didn't note yet. And that's a very solid run for him.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing for me about watching some of these guys is just guys like Smith and Saponsky. That they're both teammates there. They continue just to log some laps, but for Brian, this is a very good outing for him because I'm not trying to disparage any of the drivers in this field because everybody really they work their butts off to compete. But it's just surprising to see him still that far up in the field at this point of the race. But he continues just to log some laps, and he's feeling the pressure from Lambert, but he's handling it well.
Yeah, I think he's been very consistent and just, stayed on track. So, good job by him there to make sure he keeps his car where it needs to be. Daniel's running quicker lap times than him even, so I think that's a good showing for him too. He spun out early in the race, Daniel Saponsky, so I think had he not spun, we might see him up there instead. Like all the way up in like 5th place or so. So good running from those two. And I know one of them was getting frustrated with the Porsche, and it's not an easy car to drive. It's a rather difficult car, especially with the way it behaves on brakes. But if you can master that Porsche, boy, is it a quick car.
Blake, something must have happened. Something's happened to Sarah Rab. She is gone.
Trailer, Josh Klog actually was, I believe, just spun out.
Yeah, Josh Klog had spun, but something happened to Sarah. She was up into second or up into third. She is now down into fourth. Meanwhile, Blake Reynolds is up into second. So
Peter Houston too is ahead of Sarah Rab, so definitely something happened there.
this is a replay. We'll take a look here for Sarah Rab. This is her. Clips the inside curb and she loses it. Does she get the inside wall? Oh, just barely. Okay, so that's what happened to Sarah. That sends her back down into fourth for the time being. This is now Josh Klog seeing what happened to him. And yeah, he just lost the back end there. No contact.
Yeah, and this has got Ray Kingsbury written all over it now from here. But
Oh, and that was dangerous there. We'll take one more look at it because watch this rejoin here from Josh Klog. Just straight across the track. I think that's in front of Peter Houston. It is. That was dangerous.
I don't know. Maybe he couldn't see him because of the wall there. I'm not really sure.
That's what the relative is for. I mean, even if you can't see somebody, there are numbers that you can have show up on your screen to say, hey, somebody is coming. That is just a dangerous move there from Josh Klog. But thankfully, no harm, no foul. But oof.
Yeah. Top. Oh, that's a great move by Kevin Fanning. These two have been scrapping it out. Kevin Fanning, Brandon Lambert, like all race it seems like been going back and forth.
Yeah, these two have dispatched of a Smith. Smith now down to the 7th. And
do see some damage on that 46 car on the left front. Do you see that?
We'll see here.
We gotta think he's been into something. And left rear too. He's definitely been in something. I don't remember that car having damage.
Yeah, that definitely is for him. And there's a little bit of damage as well to the nose of the 144. I'm looking through here in my session. Something's happened to Brian's son. What happened to Brian? He already had that rear wing damage. Okay.
Oh,
he just
that damage to Lambert happens. It happened actually early on in the race, is what I've been told, and I think it was the last corner when.
Yeah, here. Look what happened to Lambert. We'll see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, it was early in the race. He got loose, and got actually hit by Kevin Fanning. Ironically, it seems like those two can't get away from each other. It didn't look like anything major. It was just light taps.
I guess we don't have a replay. That's interesting. I see the session event that logs that contact. Oh, there it is. Yep, there. Oh, and just nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, so and that was all the way back on lap 4. So
yeah, that was
we somehow missed that.
Yeah, that was not
probably
heavy.
When that last corner contact was popping off.
Yeah, that was not heavy contact at all, though. It looks like just maybe some cosmetic damage. So he continues on there in the 46. Sarah Rab maintains the 4th position. Now she's right on the back of Peter Houston. She's trying to work her way back up, and I think the thing for Sarah is just consistency at this point. She's been pushing so hard just about every race to try to make up some sort of deficit, whether it's after coming through traffic or just trying to make up some sort of deficit like today was to Ray Kingsbury. Just, having that gap in front of you and knowing you have to push reminds me of Colton Herta over in IndyCar, where you need to make up time, you push too hard to do it, and unfortunately that's when the mistakes happen.
Yeah, I think sometimes you got to think bigger picture and just, say, okay, let's just go for the good result. I think that's what a lot of experience comes in handy. Sarah's still building that experience up, at these levels of racing. She's clearly got the speed and talent. Now she's got to, get enough experience in these types of situations.
First taker down pit road, that's Kevin Fanning. Actually, second down pit road. Josh Klog came in a lap ago. So Fanning into his box. I was wondering why I was seeing him lose so many positions. So he comes down. He's going to try to get some clean air, try the undercut there when he was battling with Brandon Lambert. This will look back up front. We have to show some love for the leader, Ray Kingsbury, up in the 25. Blake Reynolds cut about 3/4 of a second from the last time I looked at the interval. So still Kingsbury, Reynolds. Now Rab is dispatched of Houston for the time. And so it's Rab in third, then Houston and Lambert, your top five. Pit stop starting to shake out here. We're going to see him more and more over the next several minutes as Josh Klog, the first position taker, he's in 12th. He's the first car on track that has taken his stop, 15.3 on the gun.
Yeah, battle for third, anything but done. Sarah made contact with Peter as the SG went through. You know, not sure whose fault that was, but just contact. And Peter was hounding her there for the last two corners to try to get that spot back.
There you see him sitting in the slipstream, trying to build up any sort of run that he can, trying to find his way back by her. But she just gets a fantastic launch off that corner and builds the lead to about 0.8 of a second. Something must have happened to Josh Mertz as well. Looks like he had an off, and unfortunately from his day running in the top 5, he is now DNF'd down in the 16th spot, couple laps down now in front of Jack Belton.
Yeah, there was some damage on the front of that car, and he just pulled it off. So not sure if that was something that happened on pit in, pit exit. But yeah, he said enough's enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was such a promising day for him too. He showed some speed in the sprint. He was showing a lot of pace and holding some good drivers off in the feature. But yeah, just something must have happened to him that he decided, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. I'm going to take a step back.
Yeah, he dropped it in the grass and had lost it earlier in lap 10 as he came out of the pit lane. So unfortunate, but pushing it too hard through that gravel trap that we see Sarah going by now, and that's where he lost it. Now, Chad, we're seeing a half a second, difference between Ray Kingsbury and Blake Reynolds in lap times. The half second being in favor of Blake Reynolds most of the laps here. Do you think that Blake has enough to get the job done and catch up to him, or do you think he's going to need a little help?
I mean, getting to him is one thing. We still have 20 minutes left. I'm showing an estimated 12 laps left. He makes up half a second a lap over 12 laps. That's 6 seconds. So he can get close. The two questions I have is, what's going to be the pit stop and pit lane delta between the two? But also, if Blake gets to him, can he get by? Because we've seen it can be difficult at this track to pass. There's only about 2 or 3 good passing zones. If you can't get him in those, it's going to be very difficult for Blake.
We watch on board for the battle of 6th place here. Marwan Mafta takes the dive down into the hairpin to get the job done on Daniel Saponski.
Almost some contact there. Washing out just a little bit on corner exit was Mafta. And that's going to leave Cody Crossgrove right there. So now Mafta's the one from applying the pressure to feeling it.
Yeah, and he's taking another look down there into the corner, and that's going to open the door up again for Cody Crossgrove. So he's got to be careful here and pick his spot, otherwise he's going to find himself down a spot here.
And that's the thing, is that he, tries to make the move, can't get it done, and all this compromise line does is leave the door open for Crossgrove. Crossgrove's still trying to find a way by. And there you see poking him out to the inside. And that's going to be the move for Cody Crossgrove, the 28 car, up into the 7th position. As Mafta now back down to 8th, and now Crossgrove got his eyes set then on the 51 of Saponski.
They're all coming down pit lane together, 3 of them. And actually, Cody's going to get the job done on the pit entry as Daniel broke really early, and Cody took evasive action to go around him on the outside.
So there you see these guys down pit lane. Very busy pit lane there as multiple drivers down. Blake Reynolds did make his stop as well. Then you got Klog and Saponski in his stop. Mafta, Fanning, Crossgrove, they're all down. It's a very busy pit lane for the time being. We'll go back up front now as Ray Kings are about to catch back up. I think that's William Dunbar up in front of him. Now, compared to last week, where we saw or 2 weeks ago at Spa, where it was a very long pit lane, only about 30 seconds the entire pit time from cone in to cone out, as there you see your leader making his stop. It was about 50 seconds by the time you even got to your box last week or 2 weeks ago at Spa, where you had to work your way through the Grand Prix style pits. As there's Kingsbury into his box, he's going to take fuel only. Sarah Rab stays out. No, she does come in. I did not see her
Yeah,
showing up.
Blake Leonard's already been down. He actually picked up a second on Ray Kingsbury there on that in lap. So it'll be interesting to see if Blake can half the gap here and put himself within striking distance.
So this is Reynolds. You see him crossing the start-finish line now. And then you see there, he's already crossed it. So that's the gap there from Kingsbury. You see him there through that left-hander across the line. This is Reynolds. Got a lot of work to do to catch back up. Gap actually grew, I think, by about 1.5 seconds from Reynolds to Kingsbury. So he's got a lot more work to do these last 15 minutes. Ray, if you can keep it on the track, you're good to go.
Yeah, I got to wonder if Ray's getting better fuel mileage or something, because Blake had the better in lap, but still couldn't get him beat on pit lane.
Well, the big difference between the two is the pit lane time. From cone to cone for Ray Kingsbury is 31.6. That's compared to 33.4 for Blake Reynolds. Pit stop time inside the box, 15.2 for Ray Kingsbury, 17.6. So 2.5 seconds quicker for Kingsbury over Reynolds there.
Yeah, that's going to come down to the fuel efficiency of that Audi versus that monster-sounding V8 that the Mercedes AMG GT3 has.
So right now it's still Kingsbury leading Reynolds. Rab re-inherits the third spot. Everybody has made their final pit stop. So Kingsbury, Reynolds, Rab, Houston, Clog, your top 5. Not really any fights there. We'll go back to the battle for the 6th spot, where Lambert holds on to that spot over Kevin Fanning for the time being. But Fanning's shown some pace today. Have to see if he can't find his way up one more spot. Next battle, that's actually pretty close on track. We'll jump back to Keith Jeffrey holding on to 8th for now, but that's Brian Smith right behind. Takes a wider line, going to get a better exit, I think, but through this chicane, you're going to have to slow it down just enough to kind of hamper that advantage he got. And he's just going to sit, and you see how much wider he's running, getting both tires over that curbing. As long as you don't get a slowdown penalty there, you can definitely get a good launch off the corner and kind of just sit there and try to draft back up to the car in front. That's the AAA to Keith Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's our closest real battle on the track. Fanning and Lambert still pretty close, but Brian Smith and Keith Jeffrey is definitely our closest.
And then you see the battle. All 5 of those cars, by the way, that you saw in your picture there, those are all for position. So, it's so much fun watching these guys. Everybody just kind of running their laps, hitting their marks, doing their thing, and continuing just to just crank out lap after lap. And there you see Smith closing back in on Jeffrey once again. It's down to about a 2-car length advantage.
Yeah, Jeffries gets the job done on Brian. Is that Brian Saponsky? Nope, sorry. Brian Smith. So good job there.
2 tires there into the gravel for Jeffrey, and Smith right on his rear wing. And Crosgrove looking to work his way into the fray here as well. Smith to the inside, peeks his nose, no. Now tries a crossover, about a half a car between them. They're very close for position. They're trying to get the run off the corner. Very close on the corner. Turn in. Very wide there. And that's going to send evasive maneuvers for Crosgrove. 3 wide down the straightaway. Almost a block there from Crosgrove on Mofta. And they're just scrambling down that front straightaway.
Yeah, nice fight there as we have 5 cars really close. And here comes Saponsky on Mofta takes advantage of that mistake and makes the pass good for 11th place.
Yeah, a lot of flannel there in this pack of cars. Two of them there in nose to tail. We'll look back here. This is Saponsky trying to hold on to that position from Mofta. Mofta, I think, has the draft. He's going to peek to the inside. He's going to be alongside by the time they get to the corner. Who can outbrake who? Who's got the testicular fortitude in that corner? It's going to be Mofta. Try the crossover move there for Saponsky. Fantastic bit of driving from the two of them.
Hard to get the run off, though, and Mofta is going to be able to defend here. Nice move by him. And right back down the inside. Oh, he gets the curb a little hard.
Oh, my
but
goodness.
Thankfully, Mofta had gave him enough room. He was able to slide across and not make contact.
Back and forth they come once again. Mofta thought about going back to the inside. Does not do it there. When will he make that decision? When does he just decide to send it? This battle has kind of broken them off the back of the pack to everybody up in front of him. Meanwhile, that battle we were talking about earlier between Lambert and Fanning, that has grown to about a 3/4 of a second advantage for Brandon Lambert. So Lambert's holding on to the 6th spot by a couple tenths now. As we continue just to work our way down. This is Saponsky we're still watching. You see how that gap has grown, but all 5 of those cars still for position. We'll jump up a couple of cars here. This is Smith, this is Crosgrove, and them. The 3 of them are all just trying to sit in the slipstream, trying to find a way to catch back up. But a very, very solid showing there from both Smith and Saponsky.
Yeah, meanwhile, looking back up the front, Blake Reynolds ran a second faster that last lap than Ray Kingsbury. So Reynolds is charging and has enough laps to catch him if he keeps running him down at that rate.
By the way, I just realized the team name for Saponsky and Smith. Their team, Scuderia Bus. I love it.
Park the bus. We got Jeffries wide, and he's going to lose it right in front of Cody Crosgrove. He's going to slide back across, holds the brakes.
That was close.
Good heads up there to hold the brakes down. You know, we preach and pray that. I'm glad he thought quick enough to do it.
Yeah, this is a replay of it. You'll see the back end steps out, gets the left side tires into the gravel, wiggles, overcorrects, back across. You see him locking up the brakes and barely got it wound up in time.
Yeah, applied it at the perfect time, though. You know, he still had a chance to save it, and he didn't apply it then. That made sense. And, you know, as soon as he knew he'd lost it for sure, applied the brakes. So, you know, good job, Keith Jeffries, you know, for not taking anyone else out there with you. And also keeping your race alive.
Go back up here. Kevin Fanning and Brandon Lambert side by side. Almost some contact. Lambert has to go very wide to avoid contact. And that's Lambert in the teal. Fanning in the blue stripes. And these guys have been going at it for quite some time now. Lead up front, by the way, it's down to 5 seconds, under 5 seconds for Kingsbury over Reynolds.
Yeah, Blake's been using as much of the track as possible. And it looks like he's going to cut down as another great lap time by him. Chops up a whole second that lap.
137.4 for Kingsbury, 136.6 for Reynolds, continuing just to tick the times off lap after lap after lap. Rab has grown her lead over Houston, so she's solidly on the podium for the time being. But this is the battle, I think, this is the battle for the AM lead in the race between Lambert and Fanning. And both them running the red plates, and they are just going at it here today. As who's going to come out on top between the two of them. Lambert, of course, we talked about him in the pre-race. Having that points lead in the class, he just needs to play it safe here, and he's got some success going to him. As we continue just to have some fun with these guys out here. Taking a look actually over at the amateur standings. Cody Crosgrove comes into the race. I Is he even? I don't even see him on the.
He's not an AM.
Oh, he is not an AM.
He was the AM class champion from last
That's
season.
right. He got the automatic promotion from last season with that. He got the automatic promotion with the winning the class last season. So he's up into pro, even though his I rating says AM and his decals say AM. No, he's up into pro. Lambert continues just to run away. Who else is in that class though? Because of course you've got Lambert and then Taylor Carroll, who's not here. Kevin Fanning, currently third in class. Yeah, so Fanning third in class and currently right behind him. Man, I'm mixing everything up here.
Yeah, including the decals.
What do you mean I'm mixing up the decals?
Cody does, in fact, have pro decals all over his car.
You know what I'm doing? I'm mixing up Cody and Kevin.
Yeah.
I'm just dumb. You know what? You could have said something about 5 minutes ago. Anyway,
I mean,
Kevin Fanning, right there on the back. This is the battle between Fanning and Lambert. I'm mixing up my cars here. So Lambert and Fanning battling for the AM class lead. I'm just dumb. Ignore me.
yeah, looking again at the times up front, Ray Kingsbury is still being chased down by Blake Reynolds solidly. And, you know, time is ticking down, though. Blake does need to make up a little more time than this. Only 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the race. He's got to close down about 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, only a couple more corners here on this lap. I'm showing we're currently working lap 24, an estimated 28 here for Ray Kingsbury. If he can pull out the win, I can't remember. Let me go back through the race results. Has Kingsbury won a race yet this season? He has won a sprint race, but not a feature. So that'll be the first win of the season for him if he can continue to hold on.
Yeah, and that time Blake Reynolds actually dropped the 10th to him. So, you know, I know Blake's pushing hard, so maybe he's found the limit of the car and can't make it go any faster. And, you know, he's wearing the tires out. So looks like that battle is not dusted yet. But barring a mistake, it's going to be a tough ask for Blake Reynolds.
He's got to make up about over a second a lap for Reynolds to try to find a way to close that gap. Right now, though, still 4 seconds or so between Kingsbury and Reynolds for that overall lead. This is the battle for the AM class lead that we were just talking about. Still Lambert and Fanning. We're going to focus here for now. There's a couple other close battles here, still between Smith, Mofta, and Saponsky. The three of them still running line astern, but about half a second each between the three of those cars. I'm just going to wait and see what can happen as this race goes on. In the slipstream, though, Fanning got a run here. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything by the time they get to the corner. It's to about a car and a half. Now a car between them. It turned in later on the brakes, but still no Lambert. Lambert still leads him, but right there is Kevin Fanning.
Yeah, and it's very hard to get a good run off that corner and make anything count down to this kink here because it comes up on you so quick. And yes, it is a great opportunity to get a pass done, but at the same time, if that other car squares the corner off correctly, you really can't get a run off.
Now, I know that you have experience in both in the GT3s and the GT4s around here. And Sarah Rabb, of course, now in third spot, and a couple other drivers in this field. I think Brandon was in the GT4 as well. Do you get a lot of experience running a similar style car, say like the GT4? Do you get experience from that will translate well over to the GT3s?
It's hard to say. I think in some aspects, yes, but I found that, you know, the GT3s are a lot stiffer than the GT4s, right? There's a lot more body roll in the GT4s. There's a lot less you can do to them. And in some areas, they're better over curves. In other areas, they're worse. You know, it depends on the type of curving. So the only real helpful part is you get to learn the track. Other than that, really not, because the cars are just so different.
Yes, learning the track, I think, is the biggest one for a lot of drivers. Once you kind of get a track figured out, you can then just slightly tweak your braking points to figure out what you need to change as the event goes on. But still, Kingsbury, Reynolds, Rab, your top three, and plenty of gaps between them. 3.5 seconds now, continuing to close for Reynolds into Kingsbury, but I don't know that he's going to have enough time to get there now, as we are still probably on 2 to go. Probably going to get the white flag next time around for Ray.
Yeah, and that's, good drive by Blake Reynolds, but it's a tough ass, especially with that pit delta, pretty much costing him most of that time. But Ray also having that, huge advantage at the start of being able to start on pole, whereas the others had to start in 15th and 14th, is, it's almost unquantifiable. So that's definitely, the biggest advantage there. On the plus side, though, Blake's going to be your overall winner for tonight's event, meaning, like, he has the most points because he won the sprint, and he's going to get, well, knock on wood, he's going to get second here in the sprint feature race. So if that holds together, he'll still be pretty happy to extend his lead over both drivers.
Yeah, and that's something about this change to the format that is very interesting for everybody, is just how you get now 30 points instead of you get 30 points for the sprint instead of, I think it used to be 8. So they're definitely revamping the point structure, has definitely changed things in favor. I think that it's going to be, let me double check this. He's going to make up 20 points on Ray. Or sorry, yeah, so he's going to get 30 compared to 10 for Ray in the sprint, but he's going to only lose 6 from Blake. So he's going to basically make up 14 points, or gain 14 points on his championship lead, is what I'm trying to say.
All right. And it looks like we're going to have another lap here as Ray takes the white flag.
And that's a look at him. 2.5, 3 seconds. That is the second place driver, Blake Reynolds, creeping into the picture, but he's got a considerable margin to make up. The question is, I think, is Ray having to fuel save with how much time he saved on his stop?
Question, I do know that the Audi is a little more fuel economic, and it doesn't sound like he's lifting off the throttle, so I'm going to say no. I think he's confident that he's good to go.
Yeah, he lost 0.8 of a second last lap around. We'll go back once again here. Looks like this battle is kind of settled down for the time being. There still is Lambert over Fanning and then Cosgrove for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Cosgrove considerably far back at this point. Yeah, so these two are the two battling for the AM win here. As you got Kingsbury, Reynolds, Rab, Houston, Clog, all pros, your top 5.
Yeah, and it's spread out a little bit between our AM class leaders. Closest battle on the track is actually where Marwan Mafta, Brian Smith, and Cody Crosgrove are, but even that's spread out a little. So a lot of our battling is just about done. It's going to be about who can, keep it together and not make a mistake here.
We'll go back up front for the final couple of corners. He finally finds his way into victory lane. He had an easy start to it, and he gets the first feature victory of the season. Ray Kingsbury's got the new team partnership, still in the Audi, but he gets the first win for the newly formed Penguin RC team here in the NASA Sports Car Challenge. And then it's going to be Blake Reynolds. Sarah Rab finishes 3rd. Then Houston clogged through the final couple of corners. So we'll switch back to this battle. Couple more corners to go. That's Brian Sawn right in front of them. And that is not for position. He is a lap down. But these two, this is the final corner here. Who can get the better launch off the corner? Very defensive. You see there a huge hit of the brakes for Kevin Fanning. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He is not. And that's going to be Brandon Lambert taking the 6th spot and the AM class victory here in the race from Hockenheim. So we'll step away for just a short break, and we'll be back with some post-race interviews. And back to Hockenheim Ring we come. We're going to be joined immediately here by Ray Kingsbury. And Ray, I mean, you started on the pole for the sprint. Kind of lucked out with that one.
Yeah, kind of got lucky. We didn't finish one position lower because it would have been a different race for sure. It was a bad mistake to make in the sprint there, and it cost us points. But we got the feature win, which is nice. We haven't done that all season, so got a race win.
I was going to say, it looked like you were feeling some pressure from behind. I mean, looked like he was cutting in to your lead there towards the end. And were you kind of nervous there? Do you think you had any shot at getting to you?
No, I kind of did the math, and it wasn't looking too good for him. And I knew my car got better on low fuel. My fastest laps were right at the end of the fuel tank. Like the car just, it would shave off about half a second once it went below 5 gallons. So pretty much as soon as it did that, you probably noticed I was running low 37s, and then we were pretty good there.
Now, my pit delta is showing that you made up 2 seconds on your pit lane time compared to Blake. What was your secret?
I really hustled it in on the entry, but I actually made a mistake on the in lap, so I don't know if I don't know how I made up 2 seconds on him because I actually had the TC kick on. But it looks like my out lap was actually the faster one.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic bit of race from you. And I know you've got a new partnership in the works for you and your team. So talk about that a little bit as we get set for the last couple races here this season.
Yeah, it's exciting. Brian's been working with us a lot, and been working with particularly Blake and Sarah and I over the last few months. With everything with MTech and all that. So I don't really know how to explain it, but it's we're Team Penguin RC, and like there's three of us signed up to drive for Brian, and we're gonna represent them across a couple of series. But so I guess we can call it a family as well. It's a team, but it's also a family, and it's not all of Last Lap Motorsports that'll be participating in it, but they'll of course be a big part of um, the effort still because you can't drive an endurance race without teammates.
Yeah, and it was so much fun to watch you out there, and of course, you got the benefit of the pole there in the sprint or in the feature, but other than of course, Brian and Penguin RC, anybody else you want to thank here tonight?
Yeah, Audi Sport Slovakia machine has just been ripping all season. Sarah's done a good job at getting these things set up for me. These last couple of rounds, she was a big part of the prep work. It was actually one of our other setups. We really didn't make too many tweaks to it, and it was super fast. So yeah, this Audi Sport team's been fast, and thank you for them for giving us the opportunity to represent them as well. It's been pretty cool to drive a real GT3 car here in a sim. In terms of the fact that this car is actually running the Blancpain series when it was around. What is that now? World GT Challenge or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, hey, congratulations on the win here tonight, your first of the season, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you then.
That's Ray Kingsbury, your winner here tonight. Next up in the booth here is Blake Reynolds. And Blake, you were chasing him down pretty hard, but did you think you had a shot at him?
Maybe if I overheated my tires a little bit there. I started catching him right at the end, but I don't know. It may have, I overheated the tires a bit, and then the gap was just really big, like really big. At first I thought I'm never gonna overcome that, but then it just started coming down. I don't know if he was making mistakes, if he was saving fuel, or whatever the situation was. It just started, the gap started shrinking, and then in those last two laps I put in some real good heaters, and I ate them down maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds. But that was probably my best effort there. I probably couldn't have driven much better. I had some damage from a wreck earlier too.
So what's the mindset for you, Blake, when you're starting, you win the sprint, you're starting 15th on the grid. Meanwhile, he had an incident in the sprint and he ended up starting on the pole. I mean, you have to make up a considerable gap. It looked like you were struggling to get through traffic. So, what's the mindset just knowing what advantage he has from the get-go?
Uh, well, I mean, yeah, when it's one of your championship competitors, they wreck out in the sprint race that doesn't score as many points as the feature. Uh, yeah, it's kind of like, oh, he gets a really good starting position. But if you think of it at like NASCAR, he doesn't get those stage points at all, and I have the opportunity to just score more points than him overall. So, uh, yeah, the best thing I could do is podium. He has that gap. The best thing I could do is podium, and that's what I did.
It was a fantastic drive from you today, and definitely had some fun watching you work your way up through the field. Um, yeah, so it was a great drive from you, and you ended up finishing second. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I'll thank Jim Beaver Esports, General Tire, beautiful sponsored car here, Vision Wheel, CBS Sports. I'm trying to think who else. Next Level Racing, of course, for the beautiful sim rigs. Everyone at NASA, everyone at I don't know if ASN's you or.
It's everybody here. It's the stream. Yep.
I'll thank Chad.
Thank you.
I'll thank Matt. I'll thank everyone at NASA. I already did that. Ray for putting this on. Brian Sohn and Penguin RC for sponsoring. And thank you, Brian, we just announced today the Penguin RC Sim team. That's me, Sarah Robb, Ray Kingsbury. So that's going to be some good stuff coming up. I think that's it. I'm trying to think. Have I missed anyone?
Yeah, you missed Matt, but
Well, is Matt technically a commentator?
Yeah, he kind of carries me sometimes.
Okay, I'll thank Matt.
No, but hey,
He's
congratulations.
not even here.
Yeah, I don't know if he's here. Matt, are you here?
No.
No, he's not here. Okay. No, it was a heck of a drive for you here tonight, Blake, and congratulations on second place finish. Second place finish was a heck of a drive.
Yep, thank you.
That's Blake Reynolds, your second place finisher. And one final interview to get to. The man, the myth, the legend, the AM winner. It's Blake Reynolds. Brandon Lambert. Gosh. Brandon Lamborghini. What you doing, man?
Having a terrible freaking night.
You
Somehow.
won the AM class. How is it a terrible night?
Because I parked it in the sprint race and I half spun in the feature and got damage and it slowed me down and I had to hold off Kevin Fanning for like the last, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
I was going to say, what was that battle like? We were focusing on that pretty hard because it was just so much fun to watch. Somebody would make a move, somebody would take a peek, and just go back and forth. What was it like trying to hold him off for that long?
Extremely difficult. My car after the spin and he T-boned me, it gave my car some significant. I didn't have the speed, so I had some damage that really hurt my speed, probably a couple of miles an hour, and so he'd catch me down that straight and going in the hairpin. His brakes were better than mine too. It was just, every time he peeked the inside, I just had to run it wide. This is the only way I was able to keep in front of him. But no, heck of a race by Kevin. He's, me and him are always close together, it seems, and to be able to hold him off with a damaged race car there at the end is pretty incredible.
Yeah, all you did here tonight was grow your points lead. It was a fantastic run all around. We're going to Motorsport next week. What are your thoughts looking forward?
Hoping I don't die. Motorsport is a track that isn't very kind to me. Every time I've been there, I've looped it and hurt myself. So I'm just going to try to keep it on the racetrack and try to finish the race because I haven't done that the past 2 times there.
Yeah, it'll be definitely a fun one to watch and looking forward to that one. Anybody you want to thank here tonight?
I just thank the LML crew and everybody here at NASA who helps put the show on, including Ray and Brian and myself and and Mertz and everybody in the booth up here. Chad, you beautiful soul, you. And I guess I'll thank Matt just because he's kind of cool.
He
But
he can be cool sometimes.
he can be cool sometimes. I like talking to him. He's an entertaining guy to talk to for sure. But now Christian Ose and Complex Citizen Works are the sponsor of the season, and just hope we can take this night and hope this is the worst race I have all season.
Yeah, so we got a couple races left on the season. Congratulations to you on your M-Class win, and best luck in the championship.
Thank you very much.
That's Brandon Lambert, your M-Class winner here tonight, finishing 6th overall. But that'll about wrap things up here for everybody at the Automotive Sports Network, as well as the North American Simulated Auto Sport. I can't remember. What is it? What's the second A? You should know, Matt.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm smart sometimes. Yeah, for everybody here at NASA, ASN, for our sponsor, thank you so much to Brian Son for helping us put this thing on. Josh Mertz, Ray Kingsbury, Brandon Lambert, Chloe Broughton, Kieran Forrest, Philip Krause, just everybody that helps put this thing on. It was a fantastic battle, fantastic race from the start till the very end. And until next time, we'll see you Monday night for some rallycross. I'll feature yours truly, not me, but Matt Kingsbury on the call for that one. But until then, we'll see you next time. Race